talk about the top 25 in May. And let's talk about how Kendrick Lamar and Drake got your boy wildin'. And we're going to make it about college football, I promise. Let's go. It's the #1 college football show. What's up, kinfolk? Welcome to the #1 college football show. I am your host, RJ Young. Thank you for watching on the Fox Sports app, YouTube, or listening wherever you get your podcast. Today on the show, Not Like Us is the theme, and I promise we're going to talk about it. It's going to be a good time. But first, I want to talk about my post-spring top 25 because, yeah, we had spring football played. We had the transfer portal come and go, and we had a little bit of moving and shaking here. So I'm going to pick out a few teams here on the wing that you can take a look at as we go along. But #1, Ohio State. I am so excited to find out just how good Ohio State can be in 2024. It's not just that they added Will Howard, Julian Sayin, Aaron Nolan, kept Devin Brown. It's not just that they added Caleb Downs and they get to drop Sonny Styles down to his natural position of linebacker. It's not just that Denzel Burke probably got a first-round grade, decided to come back. It's not just that Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins are in the backfield along with Emeka Egbuka on the sideline with Jeremiah Smith making the debut. And yes, Carnell Tate is still there. Whether or not the offensive line can stay up, that's really the only question we have now because Seth Snaps McLaughlin still got to show me that he can snap the ball without any mistakes. But after that, hey, look, sounds like Justin Fry might actually have something going on in that offensive line. And if they can run the ball, they can protect the quarterback, they got an opportunity to do what it is they came here to do in 2024. One of the other reasons that I really love talking about Ohio State right now is that nobody is under any other reason to care more than them. Ryan Day knows he got 3 tasks this year. In this order: beat Michigan, win the Big Ten championship, win a national championship. That's what it is for them. He knows this. This is why he went to go get his mentor, Chip Kelly, to run the offense so he could go out there and raise this name, image, and likeness money. Yes, yes, yes. To make sure that the best roster in all of football continues to stay at Ohio State. I thought that maybe they might lose some guys in the transfer portal. One guy like Devin Brown. No, that's not what happened. They're going to go show up in August. And if they're healthy, good luck with that. I am excited. I want to see this. I understand what it means for Ryan Day, and everybody understands, hey, look, dog, we're not going to allow you to lose to Michigan a 4th time and keep your day job. And Ryan Day's like, bet. I understand. I get it. We know what we're doing here. Nobody is in a better position to go hunt than the Ohio State Buckeyes. #2 on the list. Let's go to Texas. Yeah, Texas is back. Yeah, I'm not ashamed to say that. They got back in the last year in the Big 12. They won a Big 12 championship. They beat Oklahoma State like they stole something in a game that, frankly, I was like, can y'all both lose? And no, they can't. But Texas also showed up in the college football playoff and gave Washington the what for and the how now. And they got a bunch of those dudes back. Like they had Jonathan Brooks kind of show up and take over the running back position, but it was fine because CJ Baxter started out as the #1 tailback and he's back. Quinn Ewers didn't go into the portal, right? Quinn Ewers is staying put. Malik Murphy takes a hike to Duke. And it turns out that Arch Manning might actually be that guy. And that's important because Texas knows that Quinn Ewers has not been healthy for 2 consecutive years. He's going to go down. It's a matter of time. I don't want it to happen, but that's what happened the last couple of years. Arch Manning, though, going for 350 in a spring game. I understand it, but he looked good. He looked good. Looked like bacon and egg sandwich. He looked good. They also got Jonte Cook on the outside. I love that dude. Pure speed. And then you add to this continuity. I'm a big fan of continuity going into the 2024 season. You got your play caller back on offense. You got your play caller back on defense. You got special teams. I mean, it's there for them. Kelvin Banks probably going to be among the first 10 picks, let alone the first round at offensive line for Texas. If that defensive line comes along with guys like Alfred Collins the way that I think it can, Anthony Hill takes the leap. Maybe he becomes what Harold Perkins was a couple of years ago. It's not hard to see Texas, the bar for them being the SEC championship. Like that's the minimum right now. You ought to be playing the SEC championship game, and anything less than that is a bust. Full stop. Steve Sarkisian understands what it means to be at Texas and to be going into the SEC in year 1 without no Saban and with a Georgia that frankly, looks beatable and does not look like 2022 or 2021 Georgia, you got to feel good about this if you're the Texas Longhorns. I go back through this like 3, 4. We understand what it is. Georgia and Oregon. Oregon, I think, has everything it needs to make the playoff, let alone maybe contend for a Big Ten championship. But I want to get down here very quickly and touch on Ole Miss, the only other program that was loud in the portal and has every reason to feel like it can go do something. Because, frankly, they had their best season in 100 years, over 100 years, last year. And there's no Saban. And UGA looks beatable. And we all know that Lane Kiffin and the SIP need to go and take a big gulp this year. I mean, I don't need you to have William Faulkner money. I need you to have John Grisham money, okay? If you've been through Oxford, you understand this. If you don't, John Grisham's house basically the size of the campus. Number 8 on the list, though, I'm going to spit past LSU because, well, we'll talk about them a little bit later. I want to talk about Michigan, man. This ain't played nobody out of conference schedule that they really used to their benefit the last 3 years. It's gone now. It's gone now, and there is no Jim Harbaugh, and you can't play the JV to find out who your starting quarterback is. You got to go in with this right now, and there are murmurs that might not be Alex Orji. We're talking about a guy like Jack Tuttle maybe being the guy. Sharon Moore coming into his first year as head coach. I understand that nothing has changed, and as far as the philosophy and how they decided to develop and how they practice, but everything has changed because college football is the sport where our coaches mean more than the players on the field. That is where we look for our stars. And Sharon Moore is a rising star who got what was coming to him. Being a head coach at a major university as his first job because of what he'd been able to accomplish as an offensive line coach and a play caller. They get Fresno State to open, which ain't no easy win, okay? You get Texas on Big Noon in week 2. Good night. And then a couple weeks after that, you get USC one day before summer ends, right? Which I'm sure is some sort of a pop song that Drake hopes that he can make later this year so that we forget about this body bag that he was put in the last 2 months, but we're not gonna. You know what I'm saying? We're not gonna, okay? So you got all of that coming your way, and you have to try to defend your Big Ten title, never mind the national title, in a loaded Big Ten, right? This is gonna be a lot of fun. We're gonna get to find out a lot about who Michigan is, and more frankly, what Michigan is and what they are made of with Sharon Moore calling the shots. I want to go to number 10 here, Alabama. Alabama needs to make like the CFP and Kalen DeBoer's year 1 for me to say that it's a successful year 1. The history of the University of Alabama is having a short fuse on good football coaches, let alone bad football coaches. Gene Stallings got fired for losing to Auburn, not for winning 10 games the same year, okay? They don't play about not playing for championships. You got to win an SEC title. You got to win a national championship. You got to make it look good. Now, the other thing that I think is working for this is Nick Saban and Miss Terry are already on board and have been from the jump. They had a hand in the search. And I thought Saban would take a step back. Turns out he's taking a step back from literally everything but day-to-day coaching. And Kalen DeBoer seems to be handling this just fine. Now, there's a lot to be made of the guys they lost in the portal and the way they bounce back. But I'm not really into the transfer portal rankings as a good measure of what your roster is going to look like and how it's going to reflect come August, because, I mean, last year, Colorado had the number 1 transfer portal class in the country. They went 4-8, okay? Also last year, Texas was inside the top 10, but played like a top 4 school all year, right? You also get not an easy schedule. Like, you got some dudes that you got to go through at Alabama. And this year more than others, because now Texas is in your Chile. That's not a non-conference game. That's going to matter. You might actually see them in a conference championship if it goes the way you think it's going to go. And then that's with Jalen Milroe being your starting quarterback. If he is not, still don't know what to make of them. I don't know that Caden Proctor makes them that much better. Losing Caleb Downs certainly does not make you better. Malachi Moore needs to stay healthy for me to believe in that back end. But also remember, that was Nick Saban's. He coached the defensive backs, okay? Matter of fact, my favorite quote from Kevin Steele going into the college football playoff against Michigan, he asked a reporter, "Hey, dog, who do you think is the defense coordinator at Alabama?" And this man was shook, so he said Kevin Steele. Was like, no. It's the guy with 7 national championships, Nick Saban. That guy is gone, right? So the Saban discount NIL, that's gone too. Kalen DeBoer is going to have to make this happen. And the thing that might lead you to believe he can is he's won everywhere else. Why wouldn't he win at Alabama? Because it's Alabama. Like that's it. It ain't Washington. Washington was very happy to win the Pac-12 championship and was playing with found money in the college football playoff. At Alabama, the expectation is winning a national championship every 3 years. Because if you stay 4 years at Alabama, you got a ring with Nick Saban. That's what he's following. And we've always said, hardest thing in the world, it's going to be following Nick Saban. Caleb DeBoer chose to do it. I wish him well. Number 12, I got Penn State here. This is about the Nittany Lions, where they end up in the James Franklin era, especially the last couple of years. But it's really difficult to put them past the top six. Into the top six. It's really hard to put them out of the top 15 because Penn State's probably going to win 9-10 games, but lose to Ohio State and Michigan, right? So it's a question of whether or not James Franklin and that program are going to break through. Now that they're not stuck in a division that's also got Ohio State and Michigan, they get to play head up with everybody else. 13, Tennessee, and then 14, my team, the Oklahoma Sooners. All right, I'm going to lay in on this one for a little bit because OU has been aching to be an SEC school since Texas tried to go behind his back and join the Pac-12. Yeah, remember that happened, right? And they're getting everything they want. We got all this noise about not liking 11 a.m. kickoffs because that's what it is here locally in Oklahoma, and all this noise about playing in the morning window. Now you're going to get that SEC bump you want. Now you're going to get that afternoon game. You also going to get that afternoon schedule, okay? I'm not excited about this. I've not been excited about this because, A, ain't no Vanderbilt on the schedule for 2 years, which is ludicrous. Everybody else gets to play Vanderbilt, but we get Texas because that's standing on business. Then we get standing on business with Missouri, LSU, Ole Miss, Bama, Tennessee. It ain't easy. And not only is it not easy, the training wheels are off Jackson Arnold with a new offensive coordinator. Seth Luttrell, Joe John Finley take over for Jeff Lebby, who's new head coach of Mississippi State. And he's going to need a new number one target because Drake Stoops is gone, okay? Deion Burks might be that guy because he had a show-out game, right? Had over 175 yards receiving in the spring game. We know that there are some dudes there, Nick Anderson being another one of those. But Gavin Freeman went into the portal. That was a guy that I expected to be your safety blanket there, right? He's also going to need some help from a defense that ought to be really, really great. Now, Brent Venables put his hands back on the defense in 2023, and that seemed to help quite a bit. You get Billy Bowman back, who I thought should have been a Thorpe Award finalist, if not win the damn award. You get Ethan Downs, you get Danny Stutzman. They're going to have to come up big as that offense tries to figure out who it is and what it's capable of, Gavin Sawchuk notwithstanding, going into the SEC schedule. Again, Oklahoma, this is what we wanted. We want a hard schedule. We wanted to play in one of the best conferences in all of football. Got tired of carrying the Big 12 for 25 years. Fine. Now that you got it, with a young coordinator in Zach Alley, go get it. That's all, right? That is the DNA in the state of Oklahoma. We want it, we go get it. We'll hustle for it. We'll work for it. You're going to have to do that every step of the way in the SEC. That's why they're starting out at 14 and say not 10 or even 24, because I expect Brent Venables to get this thing figured out, but I don't expect it to be easy. Okay, number 15, I got Notre Dame there. Riley Leonard, Mike Denbrock joined Marcus Freeman to help lift an offense that, well, didn't look great with Sunshine at quarterback in the second half of the season. Okay, Sunshine being Sam Hartman. You know, Mr. ACC passing touchdowns. I'm not sure what it's going to take because Indy isn't Penn State, but you can see how the comp kind of fits here, right? It's a team that's going to win, 10 or more games, 6 out of the last 7 years, but the thing they're able to do that Penn State isn't, play in college football playoff, play in national championship. I'm also saying you're playing in a weak ACC where you ain't got to play for no ACC title. It's going to help you. Being an independent is going to help you with this, right? What I want to see is how much does Mike Denbrock help Riley Leonard? How much does Mike Denbrock help that offense? Because we know what he was capable of doing at LSU with Heisman winner Jaden Daniels. But I remember Mike Denbrock from being in Cincinnati, and it didn't seem to matter all that much. So maybe it was Jaden Daniels and not Mike Denbrock. We'll get to find out when Marcus Freeman going into 2024. And by the way, their schedule ain't easy either. Number 16, a team that's on their schedule, USC. All right. This is the toughest team in the country for me to nail down. It's tough because they don't play a single FCS opponent. Everybody they play is good. Their QB situation, I don't even know about because it's Miller Moss or it's Jaden Mayava. It's probably Miller Moss, but is that guy a dude? And what qualifies for success for USC in 2024? Is it making the Big Ten championship game after going 7-5 with the reigning Heisman winner? Maybe. But again, you're going to find out a lot about what Lincoln Riley is made of because this much is true. He's had 3 Heisman winners, 3 number 1 overall picks at quarterback, and not a single CFP win. So making the Big Ten title game feels like the bar for success for them. And then we'll see, because if you make the Big Ten title game, you're going to make it into a 12-team playoff. Can you win a national championship? Remains to be seen. And remember, USC schedule features an opener in Vegas against LSU and 10 other teams that went bowling in 2023. 10. The only one of those teams that did not go bowling in 2023 is Nebraska. And anybody that has been watching Nebraska this spring tells you that defense is going to be nasty. If Dylan Raiola ends up putting it together real early, you could be in for a season of problems at SC. Now, defensively, I like the staff. I really, really like the staff. I think adding Danton Lynn and Matt Ince, along with Eric Henderson, that's only going to help you. But that's been the thing for Lincoln Riley since he's become a head coach. His defense has sucked. His defensive coordinator has not been great. If that doesn't change, you're just going to get railroaded in a Big Ten where you got to be balanced. You got to be good on both sides of the football to contend. One of the things that I love about SC is they like to remind people that they've won 11 national championships. And I will say, when's the last time you won a national championship? Okay? It's been a while. You went and got the guy from Oklahoma that was supposed to change that. It hasn't happened yet. Make it happen in the Big Ten. We'll see. 17, Kansas State, Iowa, 18, Oklahoma State, 19. Then my darling in the Big 12. Kansas, this is the year. This is the year for you to win the Big 12 championship. It could be the best year since last year, since 2007 for the Jayhawks. Now, they don't play a game in Lawrence this year because they are renovating the stadium. But remember this, they're renovating the stadium. Not a thing you would say about Kansas even 5 years ago, right? My guy Lance Leipold, my guy Travis Goff, they show up, they understand a distressed asset just needs some love, some care, some attention, and they start pulling in the same direction, right? Jalen Daniels is healthy. This is a great football team. Devin Neal is back there. Daniel Heshaw is back there, right? We understand. We get it. Offensive line has always been great. They've been able to play sound defense. I look at the Big 12 not having an Oklahoma and a Texas, and I see 8 out of 16 teams, maybe even 10, that could contend for the Big 12 championship. And I think that Kansas, along with Utah, got every opportunity to make that them. Go chase a conference championship in football and be that dominant force you want to be in both sports, men's basketball, both sports, the two major sports, men's basketball and football. I think it's going to work for them. I can't wait to see what they're doing here. Quickly, I'm going to say that West Virginia is another one of these teams that's sneaky good. Last year, they lost just one game to an opponent who was not ranked at one point in 2023. That was to Houston, and scored 34 or more in each of their last 4 victories. Garrett Green could be really a standout quarterback in a league that doesn't really have that many standout quarterbacks, but has a ton of great tailbacks. We'll see what that looks like. I'm excited going into this summer because we see what it is. We know what the deck looks like. We also know that all these games, they matter, but not in the way that they mattered in the past. You can afford to lose 1 or 2 of these big games and still make a 12-team playoff. And I can't wait to see how these rosters are managed going up to that. On top of, people are going to start talking about the money. We're going to start talking about NIL. We're going to start talking about revenue sharing. And we're going to start talking about who watches these games, when and where. And last thing, we get home playoff games for the first time in a sport that's over 150 years old. I'm excited about it. All right, let's go from my top 25 to the segment I've been looking forward to all day. Not Like Us, or the most hated rivals in college football. For those of y'all that live underneath that particular rock, congratulations. Kendrick Lamar and Drake have been beefing. And I'm excited because I had to hear the old heads tell me all about Biggie and Tupac and how you had to choose a side, West Coast rap versus East Coast rap. I know where I stood on that because Biggie went to private school. You're not going to come back from that, dog. Your iceberg sweatshirt is not going to help you when I know that you went to private school in Bed-Stuy. Okay. Now we get Drake versus Kendrick Lamar, or we should say Kendrick Lamar body bagging Drake. Now, for those of y'all don't know, J. Cole kind of started this, right? When he was talking about, he feel like Muhammad Ali, and he thought the 3 best rappers in the game right now were himself, Drake, Kendrick Lamar. Drake decided that he wanted to start busting shots at everybody, and people tended to bust those shots back. Okay. I mean, on the diss tracks, right? Because nothing has been substantiated. And the shooters that you may have seen or not seen, we're not touching that. What we are going to say is these tracks are fire. And the last one, not like us, number 1 in the Billboard Top 100. I can't remember the last time that somebody's diss track, somebody's beef track went straight to number 1 and Kendrick got 3 in the top 10. All while we're still waiting on Drake to have some sort of response, but it doesn't feel like this is going to happen because it's gotten way out of hand with Kendrick Lamar just running away from this. Also been real cool for me to watch because, well, I now got friends that either got to step up for Drake or they got to step up for Kendrick, and we having these discussions. And what it came back to was, do we have this in college football? Yeah, we do have this in college football. We got dudes that can't stand each other. So I'm going to give you a list of them, and you can tell me in the comments on the YouTubes and the comments on the tweets whether or not you agree. So number 1, Ohio State versus Michigan. Yeah. I'm going to contend that Kendrick Lamar is Ohio State and Michigan is Drake. Okay. I think that measures up pretty well because if you're looking at what Drake's career has been like and you look at, say, God's Plan, right? When he was on it or nonstop, that's kind of what you get from Michigan. But the gutter dude, the dude everybody going to ride with, To Pimp a Butterfly, Humble, Damn, Swimming Pools, that's Kendrick Lamar, right? When he's on, like he's on right now, he is not only unstoppable, he is so much fun to watch. 2014 Ohio State comes to mind, right? 2019 Ohio State was fun to watch. 2020 Ohio State, fun to watch. You're trying to get back to that. I think that one fits, and they can't stand each other. So much so that they announced that Ohio State, Michigan was going to be a big noon game. Yeah, okay. And then Ohio State says, we're on Fox, TUN, that team up north. They don't even say it up there. They don't even say it. Michigan, I don't know, man. They like to have James Earl Jones coming out of the stadium and whatnot, and they're the national champs, so I'm going to give them their due. But it feels more like Kendrick Lamar because Ohio State really got to tell you what they think about Drake. You know what I'm saying? That's what it is. Okay, next on the list, Oklahoma versus Texas. So much so that every time somebody has the bright idea to sell a beat Texas that ain't going to get knocked down, I got to go find a hat. Matter of fact, my mama's favorite hat that I bought her says beat Texas across the top, okay? In Oklahoma, we have to beat Texas. I don't know that Texas always got to beat us. Well, we got to beat Texas, right? I keep hearing about the business economy down there. It's 4 different states. It's the flagship. They came up with an ACT score that kind of really tried to put them in an Ivy League situation. They get these great professors. They get everybody come on campus, and we still beat the hell out of them. I need that. I need that. That beatdown we got when Dylan Gabriel was hurt, had to pay that back. Okay? I'm going to already tell you that Oklahoma, Kendrick Lamar, because we got to have this. And Texas is Drake. For too long, Texas was able to get by just by going, no, we want to win our way. At Oklahoma, we recruit everybody all the time. Get them in here. We got to go win. Understand, it's personal when we play Texas. I don't know that it's always personal when Texas plays us, right? That might tell you that it means a little bit more to us. Fine, fair. Football, college football. That's the pro team here. We ain't got no Cowboys. We ain't got no Texans. We got the Sooners, okay? Oklahoma versus Texas is on this list. Next on this list, NCAA versus pay for play. Not for nothing, but the firm of House and Alston about to clean the NCAA out, dog. These cases are moving through court at a speed in which you got Charlie Baker saying out loud, we got to get to a settlement. We got to settle this. That's the thing. Because we're talking about billions of dollars in damages that NCAA member institutions may owe to dudes that don't even play no more, let alone the guys that are playing right now, at a moment when the sport has never been more valuable. Remember, ESPN paid damn near $8 billion for the rights to the college football playoff alone, right? We got bowl of directors who are going, hey, let's find a way to cut these players in so we can keep our bowls afloat, right? We're changing the college football schedule in such a way that the University of Alabama had a crappy field in the spring because they might have to host a game at Alabama in December, and they've never had to do that. That's what the money's looking at, right? This is before we start talking about what guys are getting paid in NIL collectives and how that is going to need to be folded in. But universities don't want nothing to do with that because that's more employees that you got to pay. And it opens you up to some level of liability. And nobody wants to actually do the hard work of finding out what that looks like by having a union for these players that are in transient positions and a union that's going to negotiate with a collective bargaining agreement that represents, say, the major powers in college football. The NCAA has been beating the hell out of pay for play for almost 150 years. So much so that we're talking about the 1950s when television coming in is talking about the ruin of college football. It's taking a little bit longer to ruin college football. I don't think college football is going to get ruined. I think college football is too big to fail. But I also see the NCAA hiding a child, if you will. Man, infrared, push T. And I see pay for play is what we do now. We understand. Go get your money, right? I'm not mad at the kids for this. I'm not going to do that. That's not me. I'm going to say, go get your money. Don't lie to me about what you want. And then let's go get it. Let's see if we can't work this together. This only works if everybody comes out here feeling as if they're a little bit unhappy, but mostly happy. I think we can get to that. We just got to get the adults back to the table, and we got to do it before the walls close in on the sport and we're all grasping at straws when we could have just had this thing done. Okay, next on the list for me, Florida State versus College Football Playoff Selection Committee. I never thought I would be that dude hosting a national show going, you know what, Florida State got a whole ass point against College Football Playoff, but they do. They went 12-0, 13-0. They won the ACC title. That was good enough for Clemson, right? You know what I'm saying? It was good enough for Florida State years ago. But the quarterback goes out in a game that wasn't nobody watching, right? And they decided to hold a grudge against this team and let in Alabama. Turned out to be a great game against Michigan, but even the Michigan fans were like, what do you got, Florida State? We were looking forward to them. And then you got the Attorney General at Florida going, hey, we're going to bat for Florida State. And then you get the Attorney General in the South going at the NCAA College Football Playoff about this. Florida State fans were already, to put it mildly, some kind of way, period. Okay? Just check on FSU Twitter every now and again. Now they are aggrieved, and righteously so. I would never shut up about this. This would be the conspiracy. This would be my tinfoil hat everywhere I go when something bad happens to Florida State that is out of my control, out of theirs. I would say the game is rigged because in this moment, the game was absolutely rigged by the selection committee. You know what I'm saying? Like it was unconscionable. The selection committee was supposed to break ties, right? Humanize to break ties. What they did was squeeze out a perfect football team because their eyes lied to them. Okay? I don't see this. You win every game, you should have every opportunity to play for the belt. You should also have the opportunity to get your ass beat playing for the belt. That's why the 12-team playoff is here now, because the Florida States of the world are going to continue to happen, right? We got to have a fair way to get through this. And Florida State and the College Football Playoff Select Committee, that's just going to be what it is from now until we stop playing college football, and that's nowhere soon. Last on this list for me, message board poster versus the flip commit. It's an oldie but a goodie. For those of y'all that do not participate in message board culture, congratulations, you are a better man than me. This is how I was raised. I came up looking at message boards. I came up writing for sites that had message boards, and hiding behind a pseudonym has always been the great way to try to tear down a kid who decided he would rather go to Kansas State than Kansas. That he'd rather go to Stanford than Notre Dame. Okay? Some of the things that you've seen a message board poster post, if you have been on message boards, you're like, yeah, I know that guy. I might actually know that guy. You might actually be that guy, in which case I'm going to ask you, please, be an adult, grow up. It's fine. It's okay. But this is going to continue to go on, especially with naming and likeness becoming such a, not a bigger part of the sport, but a part of the sport that we're all more comfortable talking about. So you're going to have message board posters going, well, I guess money is what it's all about. I mean, yeah, dog. I mean, up until a certain threshold, that is what it's about. It really is. It's about getting paid. Now there's a level to it where it doesn't matter that much, but the money always going to be important because let me tell you something. At a certain level, it ain't how much you're getting paid because you got a family to feed. It's how much you're getting paid because you keep it score. Okay? That is the thing. Being the highest paid at your position, the highest paid in your place, that's always going to carry weight. That's going to give you some gravitas walking around the office. That's what the kids are after too, because they're 17 to 18 years old. And not only that, it used to be, we'll give you a Trans Am. And then, Eric Dickerson drove that Trans Am back up to SMU. Now, take a look at the Georgia parking lot, dog. Lambos, Ferraris, big trucks. Matter of fact, shout out to my guy, Nolan Smith, who has never seen a big truck that he doesn't love. And his country is all get out. But you understand my point here, right? It's about keeping score. It's about being able to show off. That's what you're up for. Message board poster, that's never going to be that guy. So what is he going to do? He's going to write something mean on a board with very little grammar and some missing articles and probably 7 or 8 misspellings to say, I don't like this child that decided to go somewhere else. Not like us. If you haven't heard it, go listen to it. It's a bop. It's a jam. They playing it at the clubs. You got kids out here saying OVO, but the V starts with an H and ends with an E. Dog, I can't wait. I can't wait to see what else happens here. I'm eating all of this up. It's been the thing that has been keeping me afloat until we start playing college football in August. I'm so down. I'm so ready. We're going to be back here on Thursday to do this with the UFL, which is also headed toward playoff contention. That's going to be a lot of fun. And of course, we're going to be back here next Tuesday live to talk about college football and maybe an update on this beef with K-Dot and Drake. Number one college football show leads the screening are Jack Coakley and Torrin Westfall. They make us better in the film room. Additional support from Kiara Santana and Jim Cunningham put the special in our special teams. Producer Javion Duncan makes sure the recruits and the rivals see the cake we baked. Technical director Chaz Boulay is sending in the signals. Senior producer Catherine Cordaji sees the entire field from the booth. Lead producer Tyler Wojak calls the plays from the sideline. The play snaps on my clap. We're back on Thursday with our UFL Power Rankings ahead of Week 8. Until then, stay low. Keep those feet driving. Deuces.